This is World Insight. I'm Tian. I'm right now at the Kazakhstan capital, Astana, bringing to you our special program, Dynamic SCO. At the crossroads of the ancient Silk Road, Kazakhstan in modern times remains a key hub in the heart of Eurasia. Today, the country is still seeking ways of cooperation. The Astana International Financial Center, an institution encompassing Central Asia and Eastern Europe, is a regional business and financial center. Providing financial and professional services for nearly 400 companies, it has attracted nearly $12 billion worth of investment. And it is also a major part of the Belt and Road Initiative's financial infrastructure. So what is its growth potential in the region and beyond? On this and more, I talked to the governor of AIFC.
In our financial center, we're developing a number of new financial solutions on non-traditional, like Islamic finance, like fintech, like crypto industry, and green finance.
All on these trees.
Yes, and green finance. We are the local chapter of Green Investments Principles of Belt and Road Initiative, and we are already the leading financial center in green finance in the region.
Mr. Governor, what a pleasure to see you here in Astana.
Well, thank you, Tian. It's my pleasure to see you and to welcome you in Astana these days.
The SCO Summit is one of the very important international events of the year. What does that mean? How do you see the significance of that event relating to the work that you are doing on multilateral financial cooperation?
These days, I think the resilience of the world economy, resilience of the regional economies is one of the most important topics in the agenda. And of course, which is most relevant to Astana International Financial Center, which is the platform that is there so that the capital can flow easily, so that it can be mobilized, so that it can nurture the economies. For us, of course, the paramount is Kazakh economy, the regional economy, but again, this is an open platform, right? So it is there to help capital move freely from the savers and borrowers so that the investments can flow freely to actually nurture any economy, any country that wants to be part of it. And again, with the SCO states that are almost 45% of the global population, and I think like almost 1/3 of the GDP, again, having this platform that can bridge all these countries, stay open to all of them, is very important, and that's the spirit of AIFC, right? That's what we are here for, so we can actually bridge what we call East and West, right? And then Kazakhstan had historically been this connecting country, the ancient Silk Road, if we remember, right?
Mr. Governor, I want to congratulate you on what AIFC has become. According to the latest Global Financial Centers Index rating, you are the biggest coming from the Central Asian and Eastern European region. Having said that, though, this is a time of dramatic change of the world. How would an international and multilateral financial institution like you remain stable, credible, while at the same time with agility?
If you want to be the center where people trust to do business, is the stability. They want the predictability, right? And we know from the finance that uncertainty is the biggest threat, right? Uncertainty creates worry within the investors, right, or the active parties. So they want to have certain level certainty in what they do. Otherwise, it will be priced in the money that they put in the that project in that region. And if it's too expensive, then it's not going to contribute to economic growth. So stability is the main ingredient of the financial center, and that's what we trying to maintain, right? Stability in terms of our legislation, of our rules, of but also at the same time, it's about openness. Again, we don't choose sides, right? Anyone interested and who is ready to adhere to the rules that AIFC has established is welcome here. At the same time, none of the, I guess, financial centers can stay isolated, right? So we are part of global architect of financial industry or financial system, which means we have to also adopt those international rules. And in terms of agility, right? And you are right, in the fast developing world with the new technologies developing, we have to always be on the lookout, right? And on the lookout and find the we used to say best practices, but now I'm more inclined to, like, it's difficult to say what's the best practice these days. But we have to make our stay agile and maintain the balance between what participants want and what we as a regulator want to provide, so that the playing field is level, right? So that everyone understands it.
Infrastructure certainly is one of the areas you concentrate on a lot. I remember earlier watching some of the latest news pieces suggesting about how much work you have been working on in terms of the Trans-Caspian train and the route. So how is that linked to what you're trying to do in terms of soliciting financial support for those projects? And how do you see the importance of that in related to other mechanisms, such as China's together with others, Belt and Road Initiative, building infrastructures?
I have been speaking about BRI on many platforms, right? So I view it not as just one project, or it's for me rather a big idea, right? It's a portfolio of different projects that should result in more cooperation, more connectivity between the countries, not just only in the region but outside the region, so that exactly with the same goal that we have, connect the East and West, so that the capital and then the goods can move freely, right? Like if you look at the BRI, it has kind of 6 routes, right? Two of them go through the Kazakhstan, and one of them is kind of what we call a middle corridor, right? Or anyone would call it the middle corridor that goes through the Kazakhstan, kind of, it's basically the revival of the ancient Silk Road, right? And the countries that are within it, especially on the west of that middle corridor, have back in a few years ago created what's called the Trans-Caspian Transport Road, International Transport Road, TITR. Yes, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Turkey. To develop that idea, to develop the Caspian region as the hub, right? So that again, from the east it will start in China, and in the west it will connect to Europe through the Turkey, Black Sea, through Georgia to Black Sea, and etc. And obviously this, in the current geopolitical world, has become one of the main investment theses for the region and for Kazakhstan itself, right? And that's why I have been, or AEC has been promoting a lot development of TITR, because we believe that this can lead to attracting investments into the country.
How do you see the deficit? On the one hand, there is understanding of the importance of the region, but on the other hand, when it comes to how money would flow, there still needs to be better understanding and more determination coming from your investors.
Indeed, there is a fierce competition globally for
financial centers,
for direct investments, for financial centers, for investors' attention, right? But also there is a, I wouldn't say abandoned capital, but there is a lot of capital. And then for the larger investors, it's about the diversification as well. In investments, it's about the return and risk, right? So it's not only, we have to talk not only about return, that we expected return from country, from the projects doing here, right? That this is part of this global investment theme, as for example, transportation, but also have to talk about the risk, right? And then when we talk about risk, we understand there is a perceived risk and there is a real risk, right? So when you're addressing perceived risk, that's where you need to get more information out about yourself, about your country, about what you're doing. Because for a lot of them, if they don't have a footprint here, and many of the international investment institutions don't have, they have this wrong perception about the risk here. They think it's much bigger than in reality it is, right? And for the real risk that are associated with the country, with the region, again about the stability, that's AFC itself is an answer to that, right? This is an innovative answer to that concern, and the AFC itself was created to decrease that risk, decrease the risk, legal risk, and doing business risk, and other risks that are associated with the region or with the countries in the region, right? That's what we created for. We have our own court, so the impartiality of decision making, so that they have better understanding. Everything is in English here, so the global investors, they also don't have to spend more money trying to do due diligence and understanding the legal framework here, because pretty much it's similar to many regions they work, where they have already spent money on exploring and understanding legal structure, right? So itself is an answer. They are systematic risks that you cannot avoid, right? But again, it's about matching, making sure that investment has clear understanding that the real risk is this, and the return against that risk is attractive.
What is your understanding of Chinese businesses? How much an opportunity is there for AIFC to work with them? And meanwhile, what does that mean for them regionally and internationally?
Chinese business that have in last 20, 30 years been quite successful internally because of the growth dynamics of Chinese economy. No one did match it, right, historically, especially like in last decades in terms of a growth rate. No country matched China's growth rate. So a lot of the Chinese business, I think, was quite comfortable to stay domestic and grow domestic. But again, now China is readjusting itself. And then some of them have already outgrown, I think, the local market. So for them, it's about internationalization of their business, right? And that's a challenge, because you have been growing historically, been successfully on domestic markets. So it's really about reimagining or reinventing yourself as a company in terms of procedures, about your openness to other cultures, doing business in other cultures, right? Even language, right? Like an English language as an international business language, you have to have more people who can freely speak, understand, because sometimes some of the transactions just fail apart because of some misunderstanding in the wording, right? It happens. So, but it's good that the Chinese business has this appetite and interest because of the need, I guess, to go abroad, to expand itself. And again, this presents a great opportunity for us.
2 points follow up. One is about raw materials. This region, no secret, Central Asia, so important in terms of being the bank of raw materials for the rest of the world, especially with the latest development in technologies. So how much do you see investors' interest working with the AIFC on these areas? And what is the best way, do you see, that has been tested so far?
So mining, I think, being the second largest industry in terms of attracting foreign direct investment in Kazakhstan. First one being the energy, right, or oil and gas. So second one has been mining in more traditional, right, metals and raw materials. However, globally, we understand, and I think global economies understand, that Kazakhstan can play even bigger role, especially in supply of the critical raw materials. Because together with like Africa, Middle East, we what's called super region of critical raw materials, right? And then the mining is one of the intensive industries, so you really need to invest a lot of the money, and it takes some time to actually get into the production, right? And that's the idea. So we already see in AFC companies like, for example, BRI Gold, right, one of the gold producers, establishing their presence. We see that the international major players like Fortescue, like BHP, getting licenses in Kazakhstan to do the exploration work, right? So so that the reserves can be proven. Because, as you said, with the development of the EV, AI, need for computing power, the demand for critical raw materials will grow. We have, as a country, signed a memorandum with the European Union in this area, with the UK, right, to do the exploration work. to invest into the exploration. I think also for us it's important to move up in the supply chain so we can actually have more of the processing in the country. That would be the next step. So we're not just source of the raw materials, but can implement or build here industries in terms of the more value added, right, services. I think that will come along. So if we talk about the proven mechanisms, is of course attracting FDI, especially with the majors, but also developing the market for junior miners. We have seen that the junior mining played a big role in Canada and Australia, who are also known for their mining industries. So the idea here is to create platforms and then exit. Exit means by selling it to the big players, right? For big players, it is also attractive because they don't have to do all the work themselves, and they don't have to invest in every exploration projects. That would be done by the private miners, and then if actually it's proven that they have the reserves, the major will buy it out, right? So it's again about the risk and return. So they diversify their risk and they don't have to invest everything themselves. In that area is also, I think that the fund structures or collective investment schemes could play a big role. So bringing in here asset managers who have experience in investing into juniors in Canada and Australia and replicating that model is Kazakhstan is something that AFC is thriving to do. So they can, managers, these general partners, GPs usually they call, can raise a fund, have different types of investors, financial investors, strategic investors. Those majors could be the investors in these funds, and then they slice it up and invest into a number of juniors. And then the successful junior, actually one or two, can pay off the rest. It's like a VC industry, but more in mining.
The other thing is green. I know AIFC has been issuing green bonds with your partners. Meanwhile, you have also been working on the potential of the energy transformation we see in the world. So how much growth do you really see in that category?
Recently, just Kazakhstan Development Bank has placed over $200 million green bond that was listed on AX and Vienna Stock Exchange, right? So we see that in a few years the number of transactions have grown a lot. And the green taxonomy is also evolved, right? So we just recently updated it together with the government. So now it includes transition projects as well, which means gas projects and nuclear projects. And we see that because it's a trend everywhere. So EU is updating their taxonomy to include the nuclear projects. So the nuclear energy is about to play a bigger role in the global energy transition, I believe. And next stage for us, we are working now with the government on the social taxonomy, so that it's not about green projects only, but also about the social projects. And of all the total market, I think like 60% of different green securities that are offered by the country, our Green Finance Center plays a great role in it. Also, they are the local chapter for the Green Investment Principles of BRI, so we work closely in that area with the BRI initiative as well. And second, I wouldn't say that the energy transition has really slowed down, but it's just not on top of the agenda, right? With all the geopolitics, obviously the media agenda, the global agenda is dominated by the security issues, right? About the elections and political issues. However, if we go back and remember what we were talking about, the green transition is an existential matter, right?
Mr. Governor, as always, what a pleasure. And it's so wonderful to see you in your country, Kazakhstan.